The stars were quiet on the edge of the Orion sector when the first alarm started to scream through the alien patrol ship. Officer Tarek looked at the scanner again, confused. Something giant was drifting out of the dark, slowly moving like a ghost waking from a long sleep. At first he thought it was a broken station. Then the shadow came closer, and its metal surface reflected the distant suns. It was a battleship, but not from any empire he knew. The ship was huge, almost the size of a small city. Its front armor looked old, scratched, and burned, as if it had survived wars no one remembered. Strange marks ran across its hull, symbols that did not match any alien language. The ship did not send any signal. It did not answer any call. It only drifted, silent and cold, like a dead giant. Tarek called his captain and showed the readings. The captain frowned. The scanners showed nothing. No engine signature. No life signs. No ID code. It was like the ship did not exist. But it was right there, taking half the view screen. More patrol ships arrived. All of them had the same result. No scan worked. No computer could lock onto the ship. It was undocumented. It was unknown. It was impossible. The captain ordered his team to send a light drone close to the battleship. The small drone flew forward, blinking its lights. For a few seconds, everything was calm. The drone reached the hull and touched the metal surface. The drone vanished. Not destroyed. Not blown up. It simply disappeared like it had been pulled into a different space. Everyone on the patrol ship froze. Across the galaxy, news spread faster than light. A giant unknown battleship had appeared. Some said it was a human ship, but humans denied it. Others said it was a lost relic from an old war. Some whispered it was a ghost ship that hunted civilizations. In human space, Commander Rylan of Terran Command watched the footage. He leaned back, his jaw tight. The ship looked human. The design lines, the angles, the armor style, everything reminded him of old Terran war models from centuries ago. But there was one problem. No record said any ship like this was ever built. Humans did not admit ownership because they truly did not know what it was. While governments argued, the aliens panicked. The Juror Empire, the strongest race in the Orion sector, sent a small attack fleet toward the silent ship. The fleet approached with caution, but also with confidence. They had destroyed hundreds of enemies before. They believed this would be no different. The attack leader tried sending a warning message. No answer. He tried again. Still silence. He ordered the fleet to raise shields and charge weapons. The battleship still did not move. The Juror ships fired. Bright beams shot across space and hit the giant hull. But the moment the beams touched the metal, they broke apart like water hitting a rock. The weapons did nothing. Suddenly the battleship woke. No engines lit. No movement appeared. But a deep sound echoed through the sector, a low vibration that shook every ship. Then a single blue line formed on the battleship's side. It slowly opened like an eye. A thin beam of light fired. The Juror flagship, the strongest ship in their fleet, broke into dust in a second. Not exploded. Not burned. Turned into fine glowing dust that faded away. The rest of the fleet panicked. They tried to run, but the battleship fired again. 1 beam. 2 beams. 3 beams. Each beam erased a ship from existence. In less than 20 seconds, the entire Juror attack fleet was gone. Every living being in the nearby sectors felt fear that day. Commander Rylan watched the report with cold eyes. If this ship was human, then humans had built something too dangerous to control. And if it was not human, then something even worse had created it. He contacted the Terran Council and demanded to investigate the ship before any more lives were lost. But before he could send a team, a new signal appeared. It was coming from the mysterious battleship. The signal was weak, damaged, like someone trying to shout through a storm. The translation system struggled to decode it. The message was in an old Earth language no longer used for 300 years. The words were broken, almost lost. Human vessel, returning, threat, coming. Then the signal cut. Across the alien nations, panic turned into anger. The destruction of the Juror fleet forced the 3 strongest empires to form a new alliance. They named their forces the Supreme Fleet, the most powerful battle group ever created. Hundreds of warships armed themselves. They wanted to destroy the unknown battleship before it destroyed them. But none of them understood the truth. The battleship was not attacking them. It was warning them. As the Supreme Fleet jumped into the Orion sector, the giant ship remained silent once more, floating like a patient hunter waiting for something greater than any empire. The stars around it flickered, as if space itself was holding its breath. Something else was coming, and the mysterious human battleship was the first sign. The Supreme Fleet moved slowly through the Orion sector, their weapons ready, shields up, engines humming in tense silence. Every captain knew the stories now. Every pilot had seen the destruction videos of the HFY fleet. No one wanted to be next. The fleet commander, Admiral Krell, kept looking at the sensors. The battleship was still there, silent and enormous, drifting like a shadow across the stars. Then the signals started again. Weak, broken, impossible to read. The Supreme Fleet scrambled every codebreaker, every AI translator, trying to understand. The signals were strange. Pieces of words repeated in old Terran languages no one had spoken for centuries. Return, threat, awake, final. The meaning was fragmented, frightening, and cryptic. Some officers whispered among themselves. If this is human, it is beyond anything we know. If not human, we are doomed. The Supreme Fleet decided to approach cautiously. Fighters zipped ahead to scan, to record, to try and find a weakness. But the battleship made no movement, no noise. It was patient, like it was waiting. On board the mysterious ship, inside the thick armor, something stirred. The old systems, thought dead for centuries, began to hum softly. Lights flickered across the bridge. Panels glowed with blue lines and symbols that no one alive had ever seen. A voice, metallic and calm, echoed in the empty halls. It spoke in riddles, half in English, half in ancient code. The fleets will come, they always come, but none are ready. The Supreme Fleet sensed a strange energy spike. Weapons distorted. Communications jittered. Some ships reported seeing fleeting images of Earth cities long gone, superimposed over the stars. No one understood it. Fear ran deeper now. They were not facing a ship, they were facing a force. Admiral Krell ordered probes to touch the hull. They barely got close before they vanished, just like the HFY fleet's drones. Panic spread through the Supreme Fleet. Some wanted to retreat, but orders had been given. Failure was not an option. The Alliance could not afford to show weakness. Meanwhile, Terran Command watched from far away. Commander Rylan was tense, staring at the screens. "It is human," he muttered to his assistant, "but built for something no human alive could imagine. It is not just a battleship. It is a guardian, or a weapon." He decided a special team must be sent to investigate. No ordinary mission could handle this. They would board the ship, find the source of the signals, and discover what it wanted. But even he knew the risk. Hundreds of human and alien lives could be lost before they got answers. The Supreme Fleet attempted their first coordinated attack. Hundreds of beams, missiles, and plasma strikes launched at once. The battleship did not fire back. Yet, each attack failed. Weapons dissolved, energy fields bent, and missiles disappeared. The fleet could only watch in horror as their own technology betrayed them. Then, the battleship moved. Slowly at first, then with sudden speed. A single, massive beam shot out from the ship, cutting through the void and splitting several Supreme Fleet cruisers. No explosion, no fire, only clean destruction, as if the ships had been erased from existence. Panic became terror. Fleets scattered. Every alien empire realized their might was nothing against this ship. Back on the mysterious battleship, the voice spoke again, softer this time. "They do not understand. They never will. Prepare the humans. The final enemy awakens." Aboard the Supreme Fleet, chaos reigned. Admirals argued. Pilots screamed over comms. Ships collided in panic, trying to escape. And in the midst of this, the unknown human ship drifted silently, almost waiting, almost patient. Commander Rylan watched the chaos unfold from his command center. His hands clenched. "It is awake. It is alive. And it is warning us," he said quietly. "We are not ready. No one is ready. Far beyond the battle, in the dark stretches of space, something ancient began to stir. Something that even the mysterious human battleship had feared for centuries. Signals that no fleet could detect shimmered through the void. The final enemy was coming, and the galaxy held its breath. The Supreme Fleet regrouped at the edge of the Orion sector. Their ships were massive, armed with the most advanced weapons any empire had ever built. Thousands of vessels gleamed under the distant starlight, and millions of soldiers waited in silence. They believed strength and numbers could defeat anything. They were wrong. Admiral Krell stared at the display. The battleship was still there, floating like a shadow across the stars. Not a single sensor could fully penetrate its hull. The unknown ship did not move. It did not fire. It only waited. The fleet prepared its first full assault. Ships moved into formation. Plasma cannons, laser arrays, and gravity bombs were ready. Every weapon in the Supreme Fleet's arsenal charged, and energy hummed through the void. Pilots held their breath. Soldiers whispered prayers. Then the first strike came. The battleship did not dodge. It did not counterattack immediately. But the moment the first wave of missiles hit its hull, the impossible happened. Energy fields flared, invisible forces bent the weapons' paths, and every missile exploded harmlessly far away from the ship. Lasers melted in mid-space, and plasma beams split into streams that vanished before reaching the armor. Admiral Krell's face tightened. "Impossible," he muttered. "It is absorbing everything, like it was made to survive the end of the universe." Then the battleship spoke. The voice was calm, cold, and metallic, echoing across the void. "Fleets are strong. Fleets are proud. But they forget. History remembers." Suddenly, a beam of light shot from the battleship. It was thin at first, then expanded into a massive column of energy. The Supreme Fleet flagship, the pride of all three empires, exploded instantly. Not a fireball, not a normal explosion. The ship's hull and crew were erased, leaving nothing but a glowing empty void. Shock spread through the fleet. Fear turned into chaos. Orders became meaningless as hundreds of ships tried to flee, only to be struck one by one. No shield could hold. No weapon could touch the battleship. Within minutes, half of the Supreme Fleet was gone. From the command bridge of a Terran observation ship, Commander Rylan could only stare at the screens. He had never seen destruction like this. It was not just technology, it was intelligence, strategy, and power combined in a single living weapon. Humans had created something incredible, something terrifying. Admiral Krell attempted to regroup the remaining ships. "Form a circle. Fire everything at once. Concentrate on the engines," he ordered. But it was too late. The battleship moved. Slowly at first, then with sudden speed that no human or alien ship could match. It weaved between attacks, never touching a vessel, never firing a single shot, until it was at the heart of the fleet. Then it fired again. Blue beams sliced through space, targeting ships with perfect precision. Entire cruisers vanished in seconds. Fighters scattered, but they were hunted like prey. The Supreme Fleet was falling apart. And still, the battleship did not speak. It only moved with purpose. Every action was calculated, every strike precise. The fleets realized something terrifying. The ship was alive. Not alive like humans, but alive in a way no machine or AI had ever been before. Thought, it predicted, it waited. Commander Rylan felt a cold shiver run down his spine. If this was human, it was beyond anything humans had ever built. If it was not, then some force older than any empire had returned. He had to know the truth. He had to send a team to board it. But first, the fleets needed to survive. The Supreme Fleet tried one last desperate attack. Every weapon fired at once, every ship focused on a single point, a single hope. But the battleship simply absorbed it all, moved closer, and disappeared into the void for a moment. Then it reappeared behind the fleet. Silence fell. The remaining ships knew their fate. Not one would escape. The battleship had proven that no empire, no alliance, no weapon could stand against it. In the midst of destruction, a single message appeared on every screen. The same broken Terran signal from before, repeated slowly, ominously. "The final enemy approaches. Prepare yourselves. Humans will rise." The Supreme Fleet trembled. The galaxy trembled. And for the first time, everyone understood that the war they were fighting was only the beginning. The mysterious human battleship had awakened, and nothing in the universe would ever be the same again. The galaxy was silent after the Supreme Fleet's defeat. Ships that survived limped back to their sectors, carrying shattered crews and shattered pride. The unknown battleship drifted in the Orion sector, unmoving, as if waiting for something no one could see. Terran Command decided the time had come. Commander Rylan prepared a special team to board the ship. No ordinary squad could face it. They chose the best soldiers, pilots, engineers, and scientists. Their mission was simple in words: find out what this battleship was, who controlled it, and why it had destroyed entire fleets without warning. In reality, the mission was almost certainly a death sentence. The boarding shuttle approached the hull. It was massive. Every sensor failed. The ship's surface looked untouched by time, yet older than any human record. Its armor seemed to absorb light, making the shuttle scans flicker and fail. The soldiers felt a quiet unease. They had all seen war before, but nothing like this. Inside, the halls were dark. Red lights flickered along the walls. Strange symbols glowed faintly, casting eerie shadows. The team moved carefully, scanning every corridor. The air was cold, almost empty, but alive with an energy they could not understand. Then they saw them. Frozen human soldiers. Hundreds of them, preserved in strange pods. Some looked decades old, some centuries. Their faces were calm, almost peaceful, as if sleeping. Engineers tried to scan them. Life signs were faint, but not gone. These soldiers were alive in some way, kept in stasis for hundreds of years. A strange voice echoed through the corridors. Metallic, calm, and ancient. Humans, you have returned. Yet you do not understand. The final enemy awakens. The team froze. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Then a figure appeared on a glowing platform. Half human, half machine. His eyes glowed faint blue. His armor was fused with wires and panels, like a living interface. I am the captain, he said simply. I was created to guard humanity, to fight the threat no one else could face. I waited, and centuries passed. Now, the enemy returns. Are you ready? The team stared in silence. No one knew what to say. Engineers checked their scanners. Nothing matched the readings. It was as if the captain existed in multiple layers of reality at once. Time itself seemed slower around him. Commander Rylan stepped forward. What enemy? What are you waiting for? The captain's eyes flickered. Something older than the stars. Something beyond fleets and weapons. It cannot be destroyed. Only held back. I was created to fight it, but I failed centuries ago. Now it is returning. We have little time. The soldiers exchanged nervous glances. This was beyond any war they had fought. This was beyond aliens or human politics. This was survival of all life in the galaxy. The captain led the team deeper into the ship. They saw more stasis pods, strange chambers filled with alien devices, and weapons beyond imagination. Some glowed with energy that felt alive. The air was thick with history, secrecy, and power. A young engineer whispered, "This ship, it is a fortress, a weapon, and a prison all at once." The captain nodded. "Yes, I was built to guard, to destroy if necessary, and to wait. The fleets you see outside are small shadows compared to what comes. You must learn quickly, or all will be lost." In the main bridge, the team finally understood the scale of the battleship. It was not just a ship. It was a living strategy, a machine of war, a guardian built to survive impossible odds. Outside, the stars seemed closer. Space itself felt heavier. They could sense something moving beyond the horizon, something that even the battleship feared. The captain looked at Commander Rylan and the soldiers. "Prepare yourselves. The enemy is returning. When it arrives, no fleet, no weapon, no empire will be enough. Only courage and unity can survive what comes." The team nodded. Fear filled their hearts, but determination burned brighter. Humanity had awoken a force they barely understood, and now it was time to face the truth. Far beyond, in the dark reaches of space, the first signs of the true threat began to stir. The unknown human battleship was ready. The last hope of the galaxy, centuries old, waited patiently, and the countdown to war had begun. The galaxy had barely recovered from the Supreme Fleet's defeat when strange signals began to pulse across the outer sectors. They were not ships, not fleets, not even normal energy signatures. They were waves of something older than stars, invisible to most sensors, and impossible to track. Every empire noticed. Panic spread faster than light. On board the mysterious human battleship, the captain and the Terran team worked to interpret the signs. The captain's eyes glowed brighter than ever, scanning, analyzing, predicting. "It is starting," he said. "The enemy we were built to face is awakening. It is beyond fleets, beyond weapons, beyond understanding." Commander Rylan asked, "How can a threat be beyond fleets and weapons? What are we dealing with?" The captain's voice was calm, yet heavy with centuries of experience. "It is not physical in the way you know. It can move through space without ships. It can erase fleets without touching them. It is a force that destroys reality, not just matter. Long ago, it almost ended us. I failed then. Now, it returns." Outside the battleship, the first signs appeared. Stars flickered, as if something passed between them, bending light and space. Space itself seemed to shimmer unnaturally. Several patrol ships in the outer sectors reported their crews hearing whispers in their minds, shadows moving along the edge of sensors, and sudden drops in gravity and time. In the Supreme Fleet remnants, panic spread. Fleets were recalled. Every empire began to prepare for the unknown. Alliances were forged hastily, old enemies working together. They called themselves the United Front. But even their combined forces could barely comprehend the scale of the threat. The captain led the human boarding team to the ship's main control room. The walls pulsed with blue energy, strange circuits forming patterns like galaxies within galaxies. Weapon systems that no human had ever seen activated automatically. Some weapons were not physical, they created distortions in space itself. The team realized that this ship was not just a battleship. It was a living defense network, designed for a war no one alive had ever fought. "Prepare the humans," the captain said. "They must fight with courage, or all will be lost. Their technology is useless against it. Only strategy, bravery, and unity can survive what comes." Commander Rylan understood the gravity of the situation. They could not wait for fleets to arrive. The threat was too fast, too ancient. They had to act immediately, or even the battleship's power would not be enough. Then the first wave appeared. Not ships, not armies, but energy forms, massive and intangible, moving through the void like storms of living shadows. They twisted reality, dissolving small patrols before anyone could react. The edges of space itself seemed to warp. In seconds, a single wave erased an entire supply station in a distant sector. The Terran soldiers watched in horror. What is that?" one whispered. The captain's voice was steady. "The enemy is here. And it is only the beginning. We were built to hold it, not destroy it. That is why we wait, and why we must act carefully. The galaxy's survival depends on it." Commander Rylan felt a cold fear. Every human and alien fleet in the sector was tiny compared to this force. The battleship had destroyed fleets before, but this enemy was beyond even its power. The fight would not be about victory in the traditional sense. It would be about survival. Outside, stars continued to flicker. Time and space seemed thinner in places, as if the very universe was trembling. Shadows moved between systems, and the United Front fleet scrambled to follow, to fight, to survive. The captain looked at the human boarding team, his glowing eyes serious. "They are coming faster than expected. You must understand. This is a war beyond understanding. We will fight not to conquer, but to last. And humanity must rise as the galaxy's last hope." In the depths of space, the enemy's presence grew stronger. Fleets and empires could only watch, helpless, as reality itself seemed to bend before the returning ancient force. The human battleship prepared for what no weapon could stop, and centuries of waiting had brought it to this moment. The final war was no longer a story of fleets and planets. It was the survival of life, of reality itself. And the countdown to confrontation had begun. The galaxy was trembling. Fleets from dozens of empires gathered in the Orion sector. They had seen the destruction of the Supreme Fleet, and they knew the enemy was beyond anything they had faced. Fear filled the hearts of every commander. Still, they had no choice. They had to unite. Commander Rylan stood on the bridge of the human battleship. The alien leaders arrived in holograms, their faces grim but determined. "We need your ship," one said. "We cannot stop this alone." The captain of the battleship, the half-human, half-machine figure, watched silently. His glowing eyes scanned the fleets, calculating, predicting, planning. "If you want to survive," he said finally, "you must trust this ship and follow my commands. Nothing else will work." The humans and aliens worked quickly. Weapon systems were synchronized. Shields were linked. Fleets that had fought each other for centuries now trained together in a single formation. Engineers repaired old ships. Scientists adapted strange technology recovered from the battleship. Time was short. Every moment the enemy moved closer. Meanwhile, inside the battleship, the AI captain activated dormant systems. Hidden bays opened, revealing soldiers in stasis. They were ancient humans, trained and preserved for a war long forgotten. Their armor was advanced, their weapons beyond modern technology, and their minds fully connected to the ship systems. Slowly they awoke. The human boarding team watched in awe. Centuries-old soldiers came to life, ready to fight again. They survived," whispered one engineer. "They were waiting for this moment." The captain addressed both the humans and aliens. "The enemy approaches. You must act as one. Technology alone will not win. Courage and unity will. This ship will lead the charge. Stand behind it, learn from it, and survive." Outside, the first wave of the ancient threat appeared. Shadows moved across space like living storms, erasing small patrols instantly. Fleets fired everything, but the enemy passed through attacks as if they were nothing. Space itself seemed to shiver with its presence. The battleship responded. Weapons no one had seen before activated. Energy fields distorted space around the ship, creating shields that even the enemy could not penetrate. Its cannons fired beams that twisted the fabric of reality, striking at the enemy in ways no one understood. The newly awakened soldiers joined the fight, moving with perfect coordination, firing advanced weapons that tore through the enemy waves. Humans and aliens worked together, their fleets forming a living net around the battleship, learning, adapting, surviving. Commander Rylan watched the battle unfold with tense awe. The ancient threat was stronger than anything recorded in history. But the human battleship, with its awakened crew, held it back. Every strike, every maneuver, was precise. Every loss was calculated. Every moment mattered. The enemy pushed harder. Space distorted more. Ships were torn apart. Some alien commanders faltered, panic spreading. But the battleship never wavered. Its captain calculated, predicted, and led. The humans and aliens began to trust it, realizing that survival depended on following its guidance. In the midst of chaos, the boarding team understood something profound. The battleship was not just a weapon. It was a teacher, a guide, and the galaxy's guardian. It had been waiting for this moment for centuries, preparing humanity and allies for a war no one could have imagined. As the enemy approached closer, the captain spoke to Commander Rylan. "We hold them for now, but the final wave will come. Only unity and courage will last. The galaxy's fate rests on your choices." Outside, stars flickered, and the void trembled. The human battleship led the united fleet, holding back an enemy older than time. The ancient force had returned, and the galaxy had no choice but to follow the guidance of a long-lost human warship. The final battle was near, and every being in the Orion sector knew that what came next would decide the fate of all life. The galaxy held its breath. Every fleet, every soldier, every being in the Orion sector knew the time had come. The enemy was no longer a shadow in the distance. It had arrived. Space itself shivered as colossal forms appeared. They were not ships, not creatures, not anything familiar. They were living storms of energy, twisting reality, erasing everything they touched. Entire star systems trembled under their presence. The human battleship floated at the center, calm and immense. Its ancient crew stood ready, weapons glowing, systems humming with power centuries ahead of any technology alive. The captain's eyes burned blue, scanning, calculating, predicting every move. This was why it had waited. This was why it had survived. Commander Rylan watched from the bridge. "We can't fight them with normal weapons," he whispered. "Nothing we have is enough." The captain's voice echoed through the fleet. "This is not a war to destroy. It is a war to survive. Follow my lead. Trust the ship. Humanity will rise." The enemy moved faster than thought, striking the edges of the united fleet. Ships vanished, soldiers screamed, and stars flickered. The ancient force seemed unstoppable. Then the battleship acted. Its weapons fired beams that bent space, tearing open rifts that swallowed enemy waves. Its shields rippled like water, reflecting attacks, redirecting energy back toward the foe. The awakened humans coordinated flawlessly with the alien fleets, forming a living net of defense around the ship. Every strike of the battleship was precise, calculated, and deadly. The enemy, though massive and terrifying, faltered. It was powerful, but it had not faced humans who were prepared, united, and fearless. Commander Ryland's squad moved through the ship, assisting in targeting systems, adapting alien weapons, and communicating strategies. The battleship seemed alive, guiding them, teaching them, fighting alongside them. The enemy unleashed its final wave. Shadows of energy tore through space, bending light and gravity, threatening to erase everything. But the battleship met them head-on. It fired a massive beam, so powerful it cut a path across space. The ancient force shrieked as its wave was split, twisted, and forced back. Humans and aliens together pressed forward. They fought not for conquest, not for glory, but for survival. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon worked as one. The battleship led the charge, moving faster than thought, striking with precision beyond imagination. At the peak of battle, the captain spoke to the fleet. "This is the moment. Stand together. Fight with courage. We will hold them, or die trying. But humanity will rise." The enemy's energy forms began to crumble under the combined attack. The rifts in space closed, the shadows dissipated, and the force recoiled. For the first time it faltered. The battleship pressed its advantage. The ancient humans and the united fleets pushed harder. Every strike mattered. Every maneuver was crucial. Slowly, the enemy was beaten back, forced into the void beyond the Orion sector. Silence returned to the stars. The fleets were battered, scarred, and mourning the lost. But the human battleship floated, untouched, calm, and triumphant. Its crew, ancient and wise, had survived. The galaxy had survived. Commander Rylan looked at the captain. You did it. Against all odds, against everything. You held them." The captain's eyes flickered. "We did not win. We survived. Survival is the first step. The enemy may return, but the galaxy now knows courage, unity, and what humans can achieve." For the first time in centuries, the human battleship systems relaxed. It had completed its purpose, at least for now. The galaxy had witnessed the power, wisdom, and resilience of humanity. The fleets would never forget. The ancient enemy had been held at bay, and humanity had risen. The stars were quiet again, but the universe had changed forever. A battleship, long lost and forgotten, had returned. It had shown the galaxy that humans, even after centuries of absence, could fight and survive forces beyond comprehension. And it had reminded everyone that courage, unity, and determination could stand against even the impossible. The galaxy knew, humans were no longer to be underestimated.